This is Wilson Morales from Black Women TV. We're talking to an actor who goes by AAA, if you want to call him that, but his real name is Alomar Akpobome. And we're here to talk about his role in season 2 of HBO's acclaimed series Industry. Hey, Alex, how's it going?
Good, man. Good.
So you're in this season 2, you're playing Danny, the kid from New York who's brought into London to shake up things a bit. What more can you say to that?
About the role, or what do you mean?
Yeah, about the role you're playing.
Oh, well, it's hard. It's hard to kind of. What do you think? I think that's more interesting. Do you think he's how are you finding it?
Well, from what's been shown so far, he's this kid that, well, he's not a kid. He's obviously coming in there, and he's coming in as a wonder kid. Anytime somebody comes in from another place, it seems like he's coming in to check on somebody, check on the bosses for the other side, and we don't know what more there is to him, without revealing so much because we haven't gotten through a lot of the episodes yet. So when you took on the role, how was it best described to you before you started shooting it?
That's a good question. I thought I was playing a good guy, but I watched the show now and I'm like, that he's like the spy. He's not to me, he's almost the villain in a weird way. I don't think anybody
no spoilers because we haven't got that far yet.
But I mean, it's arbitrary. That's what's great about the show is I think everybody in the show is kind of a villain. Everyone's kind of unlikable, but weirdly you're interested. And I think most of the people who are watching it are seeing the same thing I am. I thought when I was performing it, I was AAA. I'm the nice guy. Everyone loves me. And I watch it and I'm like, I don't know if I like that guy. So I think my function in the show is to shake things up. Whether I'm a good person or a bad person, yeah, I guess that's up to you.
Anybody recognizes you, obviously they seen you in 20s, they seen you for All Mankind. Is this role a little similar to what you did at 20s?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't own a suit. If you look in my closet, I've got nothing but t-shirts.
Don't tell me you don't own a suit. You're an actor.
I promise you, I don't own a suit.
You got to go to auditions. You got to go, you got to schmooze somewhere. How do you not own a suit?
I don't own a suit. I don't have a proper suit. I have a button-up shirt, but I don't have a proper suit. And every job I've been given requires me to wear a suit. I'm like I don't want to say a hippie, but I'm just like a much more, like a relaxed kind of person. I'm not corporate or have any sense of that world at all. And yet every job I've ever been given, that's my typecasting, which is
when you come onto the show, obviously you had to watch season 1. What's your knowledge of the financial world? Do you know anybody that's worked on Wall Street or any investment bank?
I mean, when I got the role, I definitely thought about it. But prior to it, no, I had no idea. I had no clue what I was even saying. In fact, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I got the audition and I thought, I'm never going to get this. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I wrote in my own lines. I wrote something that I thought was funny that went along with the character and the way they described him, and the creators responded to that. But I had no clue what I was saying. I think that's kind of the fun of the show. I don't know if you found that, is nobody really knows what these people are talking about. But it's interesting.
People will get into it. It's almost like when you watch a series, whether it's a gang series, whether it's a comedy show, whether it's a golf series, the more you watch it, the more you'll get into that world. You look at HBO Succession, you know nothing about that world, but the more episodes you watch, you start to get into it, and you start to get an awareness, and then it's up to the person, the audience member, to see whether or not they want to dig deep into that world to get a sense as to what they're seeing on screen.
What are can I ask you a question? What are your favorite shows right now?
One of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
I do watch Succession.
I
watch, what's it called? It's not back yet. The show with John Krasinski that's on Amazon on Prime Video.
Jack Ryan.
No, we plays Jack Ryan,
Yeah.
the Jack Ryan series.
Okay. Yeah.
What else is there? Because I do this, there's a question of what I want to watch and what I have to watch.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that's there, and so we have to wait to see what develops, to see, how much is going on. But there's a lot of shows, and the question is sometimes, when you get invested in the show, you want it to succeed because, you hate to go in and then you hear, especially nowadays, shows that are not coming back, and granted, not all shows can last forever, but, you just want to be invested. If they tell you it's 3 seasons, then you're at least, there's an end game as opposed to like the first season, you don't know where it's going to be at.
Yeah, I agree. And that's a good point to say distinctly. When I got the job, I watched the first season and then I forgot about it because I think the first season and the second season are very different. And I wanted to go into it with a sense of, I don't know what this is. And I still don't quite know what it is. It feels distinctly different though than the first season. I don't know if you felt that watching it as a viewer.
Well, yeah, I think now the characters, with the first season, it's more of an introductory. You're getting to know who these people are. The second seasons, they're now in their third year. They're a little bit more relaxed, but they're still, competing amongst each other in some areas. Whether the first season looked like they were competing amongst themselves, now they're more or less trying to compete to stay in the game. They've got clients now. It's a matter of appeasing the clients that they have now, as opposed to like doing well enough to stay in the game. I used to work when I was a kid. I used to work at a law firm, and whether it's a law firm or an investment firm, they bring on interns, and every intern's motive is to do well enough to be asked back.
Totally.
So
that show summed up is literally am I doing good enough? So do you like me now? Is my work, because I know I do. I attach my own sense of self-value to my job. And I think that is what the show literally is your own identity and your work. And can you detach that? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that something that is important? Is that valued? Like learning to leave yourself alone and go, that's my job and this is me. And I think the characters can't do that at all. I know I have a hard time doing that. It's very easy to kind of go, I'm doing good in my job, therefore I'm doing good in life. But it's bullshit.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Let me admit this person in. Okay. I guess she's off. Let her stay off. Just making sure.
Who's that?
Is this Monica?
Hi, yes, it's me. Sorry.
Yes. We've already started, so we just be muted, and we're good to go.
Amazing. I'll be listening. Thank you, guys.
I need to. Okay, you're muted. Okay, so you're on the show. You're coming in as a newcomer. How is it working with the rest of this cast?
It was interesting because they had already formulated chemistry. They were all they were all essentially, which is what you just described. They were all kind of newbies in the initial thing, and then they became like vets within the time span. They became like a legit ensemble. So, and they were all very close because of that experience. They came in fresh, and then by the season you're watching, they're all kind of experienced actors who've done films with, I think Myha'la just did something with Julia Roberts and Myha'la Ali. Like they're really experienced, good actors. So to come into that it was great. You don't have to act like if someone's that good, you just respond. Like I felt that with every single person I worked with, meaning like they're so talented. You just kind of it takes so much of the burden of like, oh my God, I hope I have to do something. You don't have to do anything. They're there and they give you so much. So that was great. Yeah, they're really
as you mentioned, it's a different feeling, when you're coming back, You know, there's a sense of relief. Like, you know, unlike network television where you got to worry about the ratings and whether or not they're going to cancel you mid-season, when you're on a cable show, the episodes are already shot. You know, so you don't have to worry about, you know, it wasn't on episode 8 or 9 is going to air. You know, it's done. You know, so now, and it's a weekly show, which is great because now for people who, whether they are a fan of yours or they start watching the show, they've got time to invest now that we're into a second season and see where it goes. You know, but as an actor, you know, when you do a show like this and you're working with different actors and it's done, you know, I'm sure you've already shot the season already. What's the next step for you? Like, obviously, we've got time on our hands before the season ends, being it just started. What are you into now? Promoting the show until it ends, looking for the next job? You know, what gets you going?
I wish I had a good response to that. I don't know. I think I'm in the process of being aware that the show is being received well, which is like, whoa, because you don't know, you never know. You know, you can shoot something and have the best time, the best time ever, and it doesn't mean people are going to feel the same way as they view it. Like I could think it's great, and you know, and then I hear the feedback and it's not so much. This is a weird thing where I was like, it almost was kind of the it was such a, it was a very stressful job. And I thought, well, you know, it's probably not gonna, I had no clue that anybody would even be, it's like about the pandemic, it's about finance. I thought I still think, I'm like, how is this an attractive thing in this climate?
It's an attractive thing for people who work in investment banks and they see the dynamics and they may see themselves in some of the characters that are out there. Even though it's set in London, people can recognize some of those traits that they probably have been in themselves. You know, whether it's the newbie at the company, whether it's the guy that went in there to kind of oversee things, whether it's the guy who's the employer, you know, and then just the jargon when they start hearing these things, you know, it gets, you know, there have been movies like this, you know. Have you seen movies like Margin Call or
Many times.
there's another movie that played on HBO, Too Big to Fail.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You know, people that love that industry, that world, you know, and then they get everything else.
Totally. And I think also, even if you don't understand it, and I felt that with the writing, if it's written with truth to it, meaning like people understand the nature of the job, we're interested. Because also I think what the show does specifically well, and I think most HBO shows do this, is they don't pander. They don't like, over explain it. They just let the people exist. And as a viewer, we're all like, as audience members, we're smart, and we don't, I think, like, I know I don't. I like being explained things too. Like it's nice to just see things exist, and then you can kind of in your own time, like The Sopranos. There are these like micro worlds where people talk in their own vernacular. They have their own usage. Deadwood, another example, and I think that's to me what makes the show really interesting is they're not trying to say this is a show about finance. They're just saying, look at this thing and you like it or you don't, but they're not trying to explain it to you. So I think that's just a solid aspect of good writing. Essentially, shouldn't show it, don't try and tell it to me, you know.
What have you learned so far in 3 shows, and particularly this show, that has helped you out as an actor? You know, whenever you're working on a project, obviously you're dealing with new people, you're dealing with new directors, you know, you get a script, you know, I'm sure you have a team that works with you. What did you learn after completing this series that helps your skill set as an actor?
Well, I've now done a series of roles that requires me to wear a suit. I still don't own a suit, so
You didn't take the one that was on the set?
I think I got to do that. I think that's my next move is I got to get a suit for myself. But I think there's a weird, I don't want to say I'm being typecast, but there is a certain sense of ownership now I can take into the corporate world. I think I got one more really good one. One more really good role in a suit that I've got to do, and then I'll try and break free of that. But each time I've done it, and they're all a little bit different too. Danny is different than Ben. Like Ben, the character on 20s, was much more arrogant. This is a little bit softer, but also it's a different thing. So I've done a bunch of modules of an archetype, but I think I'd like to really play the corporate person to the fullest extent, and then never do it again. So I think that was your question. What's next? Is I'd like to do it one more time. I think I've got enough in 20s and enough in industry to kind of.
Are you in a position where, well, I'm gonna say no one's ever really in a position, but do you go after certain things, you know, in terms of what you want to do as opposed to like what you have to do in order to work?
Well, no, I've never been in that position, like financially, but I've always mentally been in the position of going, no, I don't want to do that. You know, I think I have a strong sense of what I'm attracted to, and I'm as my career expands, there's certainly like I'd rather have a small little role in a film that I think is great and I'm really proud of than being a blockbuster that pays me a lot of money. Like money's not, you know, that's the biggest, I think, lie that I've ever been sold, is this idea that financial success or any of that makes me happy, because it doesn't. It really makes me happy and fulfilled to be part of something that I believe in. And
Yeah, it starts with the role. Once people can get to like, they'll like you because of the role, not because obviously if the movie becomes a success, that's secondary. You know,
Totally.
so like if you know, at the end of the day, it's like, oh yeah, he's the new brother on industry. You know, it's like, yeah, and then they start paying attention, then they start watching the show, and they're like, okay, then obviously like me, I'll Google your name, see what else you've done, and all that stuff. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah. So when you're not promoting a show, what keeps you humble? What do you do normally?
I don't know. What do you do?
I don't know. It's like this is me working, you know.
I mean,
It's
no, I'm
like
curious. I genuinely, what keeps me, I mean, I think to go back to what we said earlier, I think I tend to associate my own sense of value to my job. So I'm trying now to not do that, to spend time with my friends and people who care about me, and know that the job is, because it's so out of acting, you know, you audition for hundreds of jobs, and I'm never delusional enough to think that that's going to amount to anything. But regardless, over time, you can become weary of it, and you can become overly sensitive. So I recognize now that I have to kind of just enjoy my friends and family, and that's kind of it. So I'm trying to do that.
mhm.
That's what I'm trying to do. I don't know if I'm succeeding, but that's, you, you said to stay humble. I'm trying to kind of disconnect my own sense of worth from my job and who I am.
All right, now obviously you've got weeks before the show ends. Congratulations on this gig.
Thanks.
I've seen enough episodes to hopefully know that maybe you'll come back, you know. But in the meantime, I can't say anything. You can't say anything. Let everybody else figure it out week after week to see where Danny's gonna go. Whether or not do we like him week after week, or you know, like what's up with this guy, you know. But I'm sure by the end of this episode, and if it's well received enough that you know the show starts getting acclaim, I'm sure I'll see you in the suit. He goes, that's Danny. He got one. Let's look to see if
You
he
guys have one.
tag off.
Next time I see you, I hope that you just ask me. The first question is, have you got yourself a suit yet? And I will go. I'm gonna go to my closet. I'm gonna pull the suit out and say, I've done it.
Make it sell. Well, Alex, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We're gonna get this out. Let people know Industry's on Sunday nights, HBO. Make it happen. We're here to promote. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Take care.